Hilton's got talks. Today we're talking about the villages versus on top of the world. Just some thoughts I have. We're not at on top of the world right now, although I live there. This is a retirement center that's halfway between the store and on top of the world. But I wanted to talk to you about the two differences. We went to villages, we went to on top of the world, we saw some other places. There's a nearby community called Stone Creek that's nice. There's a Calicia that's great for families. It's up the road also. Cross the street with your golf cart and you can access the trails that lead down to the stores with golf cart access. It's not like the villages where there's miles and miles and miles of golf cart trails everywhere. And centers and on top of the world have a coffee shop, an ice cream store, and a few little businesses, a place to study. It's not like the villages where you see all these recognizable stores and recognizable shops and all this, like a shopping center. It's not big like that. They have a little place for a band to play occasionally. Not like the villages, party all night, thing. It's like a calmed down small version of the villages, but there are golf cart paths that lead down to 200. But you can't cross 200, but I've seen it. I've seen people on the sidewalk with their golf carts. Don't tell. But, you can get just about anywhere you need to be, like the villages. They have a little med place in their shopping place called Circle Square Commons here on top of the world. They're realtors, there's small businesses like that. There's a bank, but that's kind of a joke because they told us they're only open 2 or 3 days a week. I was like, but they have an ATM, so maybe that'll help. But, it's little things. They have a farmer's market actually today and little different things. I've done a video on the farmer's market and the people that showed up that day. And it's neat and small little thing right there in Circle Square Commons. Circle Square Commons is a quiet villages and a normal neighborhood. I consider it a normal neighborhood. I haven't really started taking classes or doing any of that stuff yet. And if you're in a neighborhood and you're a community college, you have the same thing. You can play softball here, you can do the fun little things. There's an RV place to park your RV here if you want to do that. They've got storage units here, or you can go down the street on 200 and use their storage units at other businesses that have them. Everything's pretty close. That's the thing. My wife had an uncle that lived in the first part of the villages at the Spanish style, near the Spanish style place. And it was nice. I mean, she liked it, but she hated going to see him because she had to go through 20 roundabouts to get anywhere. And I said, yeah, if we live in the villages, because we saw some places way down south where they were really developing and dust everywhere. And they showed us a place next to an interstate. I was like, there's an interstate up on that hill. I'm like, what's that noise? That's an interstate. I don't want to, you won't be able to hear it in the house. I'm not going to hear it in the house because I ain't living here. That's crazy. I'm not going to live next to an interstate. I'm like, what if I want to go outside and sit? I don't want to watch cars. I want to see maybe that. There's no water fountains at the village on top of the world of me, but there is at Stone Creek. There are a few of their dry retention ponds where all the water runs down. That's what they do in Florida. All the water runs down, and they've converted it to add a little bit of water they keep for water fountain at Stone Creek. So it's you got a little view, whatever. And it's a nice community. It has a walk-in pool I liked when we were looking at it. And it's zero entry pool, they call it. It's like going to the beach. You just kind of walk in. There's no steps. You just walk in. And the one on top of the world where we're at, Wayborn Landing, it had lower HOA fees. I like that. But you still have to mow your own grass or get someone to do it. And I've been mowing my own grass. I got the Ego lawnmower from Lowe's. Everyone in the neighborhood just about has Ego. They said, get an Ego, battery powered. Just push the button, pull the lever, and it fires right up. It beats the heck out of the gas ones always had, where I was like, back in the day. But we lived in Spring Hill briefly for 2 years, and we had someone mowing the grass. So my wife was like, well, you're gonna mow the grass again, right? And I was like, what? Yeah, I'll mow the grass. That's all right. So, and it's been all right. It's not bad. But I consider on top of the world where we're at kind of normal, except for I've got some great places I can ride my bike close by. You're not going to miles down the road like you would at the villages. You're not going from one of those town squares to another on a golf cart. And usually they get gas-powered golf carts at the villages because they really have to go, or you have to get the big battery for your golf cart because you really want to go. And if it gets hot, a lot of times you take your car, and if it's far away, you might take your car. And a lot of them have the mailboxes that are far away, and you either take your golf cart or your car. You can go shopping. I mean, you can go to the store and shop, get a cooler in the back of your golf cart and throw that cold stuff in there with lots of ice boxes. That's what I've got here on the back of my little bike. It's a little igloo cooler. That's it. I got these little thin square things with a little round hole in them. They're neat little things because they can slide in the sides. I can move them around. I get 4 or 5 of them in there and put one on the bottom, one on top, and keep things cool, as opposed to one of those giant things that would take up too much space in that little cooler. But if you had a big cooler, you could have a giant thing and divide it up and have a little fabric cooler inside the hard cooler. That's what I've got. I've got a fabric cooler inside also for really keeping things cold if they'll fit. But if I get too many cold things, I just pull the fabric thing out and just use the plastic. And it was fine. I get home, it's still cold in there. It hits 30, 40 degrees, that's fine. The little time that it's gonna take me to get there, it's not gonna be a big deal. And there's nothing frozen in there right now. There's cold things, but they're not frozen. So they're gonna be fine. But the villages, you look at the HOAs, you look for leasing, you look for COD. What are the differences? They have different things here on top of the world for different neighborhoods. They have different plans. Like you can go to all the little rec centers and fitness areas for a certain amount of money, and then when you enter Circle Square Commons shopping area, the little tiny thing, there's the ranch, which is a big fitness center, but you have to pay to be a member of that. And that's not part of the $1,000 per person or whatever it is to go visit the other fitness centers and other pools and other things that are around. They're like 3 golf courses that are on top of the world right now. And a little restaurant, when you get in your Circle Square Commons, if you hang a left towards the golf course clubhouse, there's a restaurant there you can stop at and get something to eat. If you're in the area, just stop and get something to eat. It's nice. We've been there a couple times. It's nice. And you don't have to get through the gate to do it, but we can access the gates because we're on top of the world. So we can get through all the little gates with our little sticker on the window that activates electronically. They're getting rid of a lot of the guard people. I think they still have it at the main gate, the front, but ours disappeared on the side at Wayborn Landing. I like the side entrance to Wayborn Landing. It's near Circle Square Commons. I can walk there. I'm that close. And we got a pool, we got a putt-putt, we got a little putt-putt course in the back, and there's a box that has clubs and balls and scorecards and pencils and stuff. And you open it up and you grab a club and you grab a ball and you can go play. That's cool. And they have the pickleball and tennis stuff and all sorts of stuff like that. And cornhole, or that beanbag toss thing. They got a couple of those. But and then different places have different things. Some of them have I've seen those outdoor workout areas at some places on top of the world. And they've got all that great stuff at the villages. They got great, I'm not saying, the villages is great. We went, it was great, but we went to one of the little squares where we got a burger, and it took us like 15 minutes to wait for it because it was like Fuddruckers or something. It was a real nice burger, but there's only one person in line ahead of us. And we waited, and finally they called us and we got it, and it was about $20 for 2 of us. And then they had a coffee area, and we went, and it was limited of what you could get. It wasn't like Starbucks, and the one here on top of the world at Circle Square Commons is like a little Starbucks, but it's limited. So you're not at a real Starbucks. And I said the secret to living at the villages is to live near, be near an entrance without too many circles to to go through and all that. You're just like a block or two away from all the real world stores. You can get to a Walmart, you can get to a McDonald's, you can get to a Starbucks or Dunkin' if you want to. And it's nothing. And you could ride your bike, you could ride your golf cart if you wanted, if it was that close. Because a lot of times if they're on the same side of the road as your place, there's usually a way to get there with a golf cart. That's the way it is here. You can get to a couple of these stores on both sides with a golf cart. I'm talking left and right side on the same side of the road here at On Top of the World. You're not supposed to cross the street. You can't cross. You're not supposed to. So McDonald's is across the street. So you don't see too many golf carts there. I always figured, hey, I'd park on one side and I could technically walk it, but I'd just go to Dunkin' or some other place. You can get to Burger King with a golf cart. And I've seen that. And I've seen people in line at the Dunkin' on that same side of the street. So in the Walmart marketplace, there's an Audi. I think you can get to the Audi with the golf cart. Yeah, you can get to the Audi with the golf cart. And a Lowe's. And everything on that side of the street. And then it kind of just, you run into issues of getting there or not. I'm trying to remember if the Lowe's, if it's accessible, or you have to cheat and use the sidewalk a little bit. Or you can cut through, there's a Indigo East is next to it. You can cut through Indigo East. It's a development, and it's got a way you can get in and sneak in. So if you live at Indigo East, you're right next to the Lowe's area on the side street there, if you look at Google Maps. But that's part of On Top of the World, Indigo East is. And they're still building. They'll have probably 10 more years of building, easy. Stone Creek is wrapping up their building. And I don't know about Calicia. I don't know how much building. I haven't been in there yet. I haven't rode around. I know I can get through. I got a bike. I can go through the gated gates. It's no big deal. And yeah, it was part of fun riding the bike. Just fun, just being out. Now the weather's nicer. It's September the 4th, 2025. And it's not that hot. It's warm, yes, but it's not that hot. So the Villages, if you like to party, you like doing stuff, having things to do every night, we're a little quieter. We're a little Netflix-y, Paramount Plus. That's our bag at night. We watch some on-demand TV and hit the bed with plans to go to Circle Square Commons when they have their nighttime entertainment. And their food trucks, and then somebody's playing in a band out there, maybe on the weekend. You see what I'm saying? It's not every night they've got the entertainment there. So if you're more laid back and you're not really care about all that stuff, and I mean, the Village is like 83 miles long. That's a lot of area to cover to be near something practical. And you don't want to get a house way out in the boonies. But you're in the Villages and you're in one of those neighborhoods, but you got to go way up here and circle around here and do this. But if you can get to it quick, I'm all for it. I'm all for you being in the Villages. I mean, with the area we saw, and it was just our one trip. We thought about going back and talking to realtors about houses that were, the advantage of getting a house that's only a couple years old. The ceiling fans are already there. The backsplash is already there, because we didn't have that in our house. We got a new house. And it was already built though, and they did not have ceiling fans yet. We had to add the backsplash, and my wife was like, "Why didn't they put a backsplash in?" So we had to get that. That was an adventure. But you had to do that to make it your own, But we got an extended lanai, extended garage. Got that. That was nice. So if we'd gotten the other house, we'd checked on it. It did not have the extended lanai or extended garage. And we had a lot of stuff we brought in. So that was practical for us. It's 2 bedrooms and a flex room. And it's good for us. It's great. And that's what you need. Are you looking to see people every night and see the music and go to have a good time? Maybe the Villages is for you. If you're a little laid back and maybe once in a blue moon, something like that could happen. Oh, they have a cultural center where bands come and comedians and different things right next to the ranch. And you pay 30, 80, whatever the entertainment is for that, and you can see a show. Sit down in an auditorium, see a show. They got that. And that's right at the front of Circle Square Commons. And everybody can come. People from anywhere in Ocala can come to that. And people anywhere in Ocala can come to the ranch and do fitness. So, and they can go to that restaurant right there at the country club. and Circle Square Commons. They can just go in there and do their thing. So that's the deal. I mean, if you're both in the middle of the state, so you're going to have less storm problems. You're going to have, just make sure you're not in any kind of flood zone area. And usually these places are built a lot of hills. Being in a golf course community, you got the hills, and the hills run the water down, and then they go into dry retention areas like this to take away all the water, so you don't have problems with flooding. That's the reason for this all over Florida. But if there are a couple low-lying areas, if you check YouTube, that flooded, like on 200, where some businesses were so flat that they had some problems with a little bit of flooding. And we've seen that in the mountains, up in Asheville and Boone and different places like that. You could see the water line on the side of a building we were in. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a water line. This place flooded, huh? And the people working at the store were like, oh yeah. And I'm like, right. So and then we had, people ask about hurricanes, and I'm like, I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. We had Hurricane Hugo come through. No one knew it was coming. Of course, it smashes Charleston first. They always get hit first. But it went all the way into Charlotte, took a power away. We were out of power for 3 days. Some people were out of power for 2 weeks. That's the way it hit. We had to get help from other states, brought in trucks to help fix everything. It was a big effort. But then it went to Asheville, way up in the mountains, and messed up Asheville, a hurricane. Oh, Hugo just did some damage. And then recently they've had other storms that have done damage and wiped out part of the parkway. And I'm like, dang, that's bad. That's going to take some effort to fix. I have to dig into the mountain to make a new road. So, yeah, you're not immune to hurricanes and storms that can mess you up anywhere in the world, really. In California, you saw the wildfires. California's a great place to live, great weather, great everything. And then you have a couple of wildfires and you're like, oh, well, that's not good, So everywhere's something. I like it because I can ride my bike almost every day. It's not pouring rain or something like that. And you just have to get up early if you want a cool ride in the summer. And this is September and I'm out. And most people wouldn't probably be. I worked in the dry cleaning industry, so I'm used to some heat. But I'm out and about, and what time is it now? 2:04. So that's getting kind of late for the hottest part of the day. Yeah, you're wondering, why did he check the wrong wrist? Because I was getting rid of my tan line, driving around. I'll switch every once in a while, which is confusing. You're like, what's my heart rate? How far have I gone? Have I gone a mile or two? I'm like 3 miles away or something like that. I'll ride 4 to 9, 10 miles on rides sometimes. Maybe on Saturday, I go to the Walmart. And if you check that on Google Maps, you'll say, oh, it's a little ways away, isn't it? And I'll sidewalk most of that. Yeah, I'll cheat. And if someone's coming down the sidewalk, I'll get out of the way. I'll even stop the bike and just stand there. I don't care. I'll give my right of way if I'm on the sidewalk. I'm safe. And the 1 or 2 times I've seen people with golf carts on the sidewalk, the old lady barreling down the sidewalk to get to where she needs to damn well be. Oh my! Yes, I get the hell out of that one. I get on the grass, I stop, I wave, I say, "How you doing?" and let her go by. Man, I don't want nothing to do with that. So, all of you, I wish you well in your retirement years. Looking for 55 plus communities. We found it too expensive, and anything near Orlando was way too expensive. And we were just like, really? They build the same house in Ocala for like almost $100,000 less. They're like, hey, you're near Disney. Thanks. So, but you got the golf cart paths. You got the paths you can walk. You can walk the dog on these paths. You can take strolls. They have sidewalks. You got lots of walking area. You can do a lot of walking. You can ride your bike. They got bike lanes. The old part of On Top of the World even has painted bike lanes on the street. But you can use them, and you can use your golf cart on that area. And then the newer parts have the actual paved areas. And I'm here. I slipped in to the retirement areas far from the road. You see where the road is? Way down there. It's quiet here. I like it. But the golf cart path runs right next to that road on this side, on the right side, going down towards 200, which is where all the shops are. And a lot of people shop with their golf cart. I see it all the time. And people shop on their bikes. I've seen them on e-bikes, a lot of e-bikes, different things like that. So I wish you well. I hope it helps with your decision. And welcome to Florida. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye.